all doing well. In today's video, we're going to be talking all things books. It's just going to be a cozy, nice, bookish talk video. I love how I'm saying it's cozy even though I have this tumbler here of iced tea, or lemon iced tea actually. It's really good. But I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let's just get started. Basically, I pretty much had chatbot ask me a bunch of questions, or like bookish related questions that I'm just going to be answering and talking to you guys about. And you guys can also feel free to answer and respond to these questions as well down below in the comment section. But the first one is, what book or author has had the most significant impact on your life and why? No, honestly, I feel like I have yet to find an author who's written a book that I've read that just like, I was like, oh my goodness, it's such an impactful read. It's really good. I feel like I'm still out on the hunt for a book that's like that and an author that has that type of writing style. But if I had to pick from some of the authors that I've read so far, I would honestly have to say Abby Jimenez. And I say this because I tend to find that with her romance novels, I really appreciate how there's an element of realism in them. Now, I'm not saying that every romance novel that you read needs to have like this heartfelt, deep message. I tend to find that like even within like romance, there are different like subgenres. Like there's just romance books that people write or people read because they just want to read it because of the spice, and some people want to read it because it's like romance and adventure, like Romantasy, for instance. I think with her novel specifically, I really do appreciate how she gives us characters, and these characters also experience different struggles and hardships that people actually face in real life. And I really appreciate seeing how the two characters are trying to navigate the struggles individually, but also together as like a couple and as like a unit and a pair. And it's just really wholesome to read a story about love that isn't just based on like physical attraction or isn't just based off of forced proximity. And you see how these two characters actually over time begin to learn to love each other because of their character and their values and who they actually are as people. Because that sense of like physical attraction is there too, but I also love how that's not the main focus and the overarching theme that is in her novels. And I also really love seeing the character development that the characters go through. The characters start off the novel thinking one way and perceiving themselves a specific way, but then by the time that you reach the end of the novel, because the interactions that they've been through with other characters in the novel and the hardships that they've been put through, it allows them to have a new, insightful, and enlightening perspective on life and like the situation that they're in themselves. Because I've read several of her novels, not several, but I've read a couple of her novels, and each of the characters have been put in positions that are unfortunate, and obviously were situations that they didn't willingly want to put themselves in. But seeing how they didn't allow those difficult, well, in the beginning it was kind of like they allowed those difficult decisions to like just define who they are and put a label on them. It was really nice how to see towards the end of the novel, when they got to the end of the novel, they formed a sense of identity and they allowed that hardship that they have to not take over their life, but they took that sense of ownership and they allowed, or they acknowledged and understood that like, yes, this is going to be something that's going to be part of my life, but I'm not going to allow it to control who I am as a person. And seeing the characters also have supportive partners that are there to help them and to love them in those difficult circumstances really allows you to kind of reevaluate love and realize that like, it's nice reading about love that isn't always so easy and has hardships and difficulties. Now, am I saying that her novels are like the most accurate, well representation or like prediction of what like love with adversities look like? No, that's definitely not the case. But I still feel like it does a really good job of illustrating that. So yeah. So the next one is, if you could live in any book world, which one would it be, and what characters would you like? What character would you like to be? That's difficult because I'm also taking manga into consideration, because I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of manga characters that I truly do like because they're just really well written and they're really fun. But let's be honest here, the universes are not fun. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Jujutsu Kaisen, but in all honesty, I would not last in that universe. I would literally die. The only thing that would keep me alive is plot armor. That is it. Like, I wouldn't be able to fight to save my life. Same thing with Attack on Titan. Like, I can't even play that game. I was gonna say My Hero, but what happens if like I ended up with like a weird quirk or like a weird superpower? Like, I could never. I think in terms of like manga, I'd probably have to do Spy Family, because I feel like I could survive. Like, I feel like I could learn to be a spy, or I feel like I don't know, I feel like I could do something. Like, I feel like out of all like the universes I'm thinking right now, I feel like that's one that I could survive in, and to be a character there. I don't know, because Yor is a really interesting character. I really like her. I really love how she looks like a cinnamon roll, but she will absolutely kill you. Honestly, I think it would be Anya. I think I would be Anya if I lived in like the Spy Family universe. That would be so much fun. Like going to school, being able to read people's minds, and just kind of like tagging along on like my parents' mission. I think that that would be fun. Like I'd have a field day. I really would. Just going out reading people's minds, figuring out secrets, and just like tagging along and following like my parents on missions. That would be so much fun. I definitely would do that. So yeah. Next question is, do you have a favorite genre, or do you like to explore various literary genres? So for me personally, I tend to find that I gravitate more towards romance books, which again, there's nothing wrong with only just reading romance, but I feel like I'm really limiting myself because I feel like there's a lot of authors out there that have amazing writing styles that I have yet to discover because they are writing books that are in different genres. So I think in the new year, I think honestly in the new year, one of my goals is to definitely branch out and to read books from other genres. Like I really wanted to get into more science fiction, non-fiction in all honesty, because I don't think I've read a non-fiction book. I think I've read like one non-fiction book this year. I would really like to get into historical fiction as well. I think that would be really cool too. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. Diversify my reading genres a little bit. I like this next one. Are you the type of reader to prefer physical books, ebooks, or audiobooks, and why? First, I'm going to start off with audiobooks. In all honesty, I like audiobooks, I really do. But if I'm listening to an audiobook, it tends to be of a book that I've already read before, because when I listen to audiobooks, I don't sit there and actually like listen to it. I like to have it playing in the background when I do something else. So if it's a book that I've already read, I'm not going to miss any like key plot points because I'm focusing on something else. But like ebooks are nice because you can kind of take them with you wherever you go. They're free in a lot of cases too, and they also don't take up space, which is nice. But I think through and through, I will always just be a paperback girly. I love having the physical copy of books in my hands, and I just love having them. I don't know, I just really do. So I think I'll always just be a paperback girly. So yeah. How do you choose your next book recommendation, or how do you choose your next book to read? Recommendations, reviews, or spontaneous picks? Again, I feel like in terms of getting books, I feel like I'm more of like a mood reader in the sense, whereas just like when I'm going to the bookstore and I'm picking out books, it honestly kind of depends on how I feel. And I'm not gonna lie, I do judge books by their cover. I really do. Like, as I always say, if I see a book with a cute cover, I'm more likely to buy it. I also do like getting recommendations off of BookTok, because for the most part, I've had, like, it's been relatively successful. Like, there are very few books that I've been recommended on BookTok that I've read that I didn't enjoy. So for the most part, I do relatively trust BookTok with their book recommendations. But again, I don't read every book that is like really popular on BookTok. Another thing that I like to do is, in all honesty, I just like to go into the bookstore sometimes with just no expectations. I'll just go in, pick up a book, read the synopsis on the back, and then from there I'll decide if I want to read the book or not. Another thing that I love to do is I'll go into Indigo and I'll ask the staff like what their favorite reads are, or if there's a book that they've read recently that they've really enjoyed, and then from there I'll like buy the book. I don't really use Goodreads in all honesty for book recommendations. I guess that's just pretty much how I go in terms of finding a book, and it depends on how I feel. BookTok recommendations, or just asking other people that are like readers, like people that work at Indigo, see what they've recently read, and then I'll try it for myself. This next one is a fun one because I've really been thinking about this, but it's, are you a fan of book to screen adaptations? If yes, which adaptation impressed you the most? So first and foremost, I honestly feel like because of BookTok specifically, a lot of books, more books honestly, are getting live adaptations, because I feel like back then, not a lot of books got live adaptations. I feel like in order for a book to get a live adaptation, I feel like a lot of people have to have read that novel. Like the only books that I can think of off the top of my head that got live adaptations that were like way before BookTok was The Hunger Games, The Maze Runner, and then there's also the 50 Shades of Grey series that I can think of. And then there's also To All the Boys I've Loved Before, that series by Jenny Han as well. But in all honesty, I feel like a lot of books are getting more adaptations because of BookTok. I'm not against book to screen adaptations. The only issue that I have is when a book receives a screen adaptation and you watch the movie or this live adaptation series and you sit there and you're like, was the book even in the room when you were making like the movie, or when you were making the series, and when this was being filmed? I feel like in some cases you will read the book and watch the movie and they will be night and day. There will be nothing similar. Like, I do understand that like if you're taking a book and you're giving it a screen adaptation, not everything is going to play out scene by scene or chapter by chapter for various reasons. Sometimes there's money constraints, time, sometimes it's just not possible, and I understand that. But I feel like the overall message and the overall arching theme of the book should at least be relevant and present within the screen adaptation. And I feel like if it's not, I don't know, I just feel like you're not really setting yourself up for success, in my opinion. Like, even recently I reread To All the Boys That I've Loved Before, and then I rewatched the movie. And I'm not gonna lie, even though I enjoyed the book when I was younger, the movie and the book are very different. Like, there's things that take place in the book that did not happen at all in the movie. And the storyline and, like, the pacing of the movie and the book, I wouldn't necessarily say they're night and day. The overarching theme of the book is present in the movie, but it's just played out in a different way, which I ultimately don't mind. But in all honesty, I've seen some leaked pictures and photos of different books that are going to be adapted into live action, or going to get like a live action adaptation. I'm not gonna lie, I've been like, oh, I don't know how this is gonna do, but only time will tell. Honestly, only time will tell. Because I think right now, right off the top of my head, or at least from what I've seen on social media, some of the books that I've heard are getting live adaptations are A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Fourth Wing, the Magnolia Park series. One of Us is Lying already has a live action adaptation. What's another one? Oh, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover as well. There's also that as well. So it's gonna be really interesting to see what these on-screen adaptations are like. But again, I'm not against them. Definitely enjoy them. But I think personally for me, when novels get adapted in or have like a book-to-screen adaptation, I prefer to read the book first because the book is more accurate in terms of what takes place in the storyline. That's one thing that I find really interesting, because when I read or when I watch anime, it's very different, and when I read manga, it's very different. Because in terms of like anime, the manga or the storyline for the anime is always extremely identical to what you're going to read in the manga. It's very unlikely that they're going to change anything, or at least for the series that I have watched, they haven't changed anything, and it's been extremely identical. So I think when I watch anime, I'm more likely to watch the anime first, and then that's what honestly pushes me to read the manga, because I know that when it gets adapted, it's going to be the same thing and it's not going to change. Are there any books on your TBR that you are particularly excited to read? Yes, and the first two books that I'm really excited to read is Part of Your World and Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. They're two separate books, but by the same author, which is Abby. And oh my goodness, I started reading a little bit of Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez, and I had to make myself stop because I was like, I haven't read Part of Your World. Technically, all of her books are standalones, but people do recommend that you should read them in order, and I haven't read Part of Your World, and I do want to read it in order just in case, because I don't know, I have a strong feeling that there's probably something that happens in Part of Your World that kind of sets up the storyline for Yours Truly. So I had to stop myself. I didn't get very far. I think I only read like maybe like a few pages. So I'm going to read Part of Your World and then Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. But even just off the first few pages that I read for Yours Truly, I already know it's going to be a novel that is just going to hold a special place in my heart. I already know I'm gonna enjoy it. I already know I'm gonna love it. I really enjoy the characters already in the book, so I am very excited to read that book. Definitely a read that I'm really looking forward to in the new year. So the next novel that I'm really excited for is Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter, and this one is coming out in fall of 2024, and it is the sequel to Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I read the first novel. I truly enjoyed it. It was a really good read. I loved it. It was heartfelt. I really enjoyed it. And hearing that there's going to be a sequel, I am so excited to see honestly what Liz and Wes are going to go through and how they're going to navigate their relationship now that they're off in college. Just implying, just from the title, how it's called Nothing Like the Movies. They're definitely going to go through some hardships. They're going to go through some challenges. So I'm interested to see how the two of them are going to work things out. Whether they're going to stay a couple, whether they're going to break up. And I don't know, I'm just really looking forward to that. Another novel or a series that I really want to get into is the Twisted Love series by, I think it's Anna Huang. But oh my goodness, I haven't read any of her books, but I just don't know what it is. I just have this feeling inside of me that I'm just gonna really enjoy her writing style and her novels. And I've seen her books all over TikTok, and I want to get into the Twisted Love series so bad. So when I get my hands on that series, trust, I will be reading and devouring every book. Unless I don't like the writing style, but I have a strong feeling that I am gonna like her writing style. So very much looking forward to that. I feel like in 2024, if things do work out, I feel like this is gonna be the year where I'm gonna be starting a ton of series. or continuing or even finishing a ton of series. But the next series that I really do want to continue and finish is not A Court of Thorns and Roses, the ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas. And I started reading A Court of Thorns and Roses. What I typically like to do with longer series is I like to read the first book to see if I like the writing style and if I'm actually interested in the series in general, because it doesn't make sense to buy the entire series and to be like, well, I didn't even like the first book, so why would I keep reading? If that makes sense. In some cases, I do understand, like, the first book can be rough and you gotta power through a little to get to the good stuff, but I think it really just depends on, like, the book and how committed I am to the storyline. So there's also that as well. Another series that I really want to start is the Inheritance games. And my little sister read the first novel in the series, and I do have, like, the paperback copy. So excited to get into that series. I've heard so many good things about the series, and I'm going to be really looking forward to that. Another series that I really want to start is the Shatter Me series. Oh my goodness. I don't know what it is. I've heard so many people talk about the series. Lots of people like it. I'm going to get my hands on the first book, read it, kind of get a feel for it to see if it's a series that I'm going to be reading and if it's going to be one that I'm going to enjoy. But just off the top of my head, those are some series that I've really been wanting to read, and I'm going to be so excited to start in the new year. So that's pretty much it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I just loved sitting here and doing this more like chill, laid back video where I just sat down and I talked about books. So I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys again next time. Bye!